So, let's do the difficult one and get it out of the way.
Oh, there's nothing difficult about this one. I've got very few things to say, but they're powerful enough for it. Green Lantern.
Now,
yes,
we all know that I'm a big Green Lantern fan.
We all know this.
We all know this. If you've seen the... Ordinarily, I'm wearing a Green Lantern ring. Unfortunately, my Green Lantern ring's been damaged, so I'm waiting for a new one at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So in the meantime, I actually have to wear this kind of the Zaraba thing, which nobody's going to get unless you've watched Garrow or any form of Toku. Other than that, he just looks like a cool demon head.
Yeah,
awesome. Anyway, so my demon head replacing my Green Lantern ring for the time being. Ordinarily, it's a case of I'm a big fan of the comic books. I like the characters. I've followed it for a long, long time, and we got a little Carl on the floor. Hey.
Green
Lantern. My daughter's been playing with dog collar Green Lantern.
That's it. Right, so let's just get right into it, shall we?
Okay. So, alright, well, tell you what, because of the fact that at the end of the day, everybody out there is going to be like, oh my god, Green Lantern was a terrible movie, it was horrible, it was awful, why the hell did they bother doing it, and all that sort of thing. I'm just going to go right ahead and do the pros and cons, and let's do the pros and cons, because at the end of the day, everybody panned the movie.
Yes, they should.
There were very few people who were satisfied with that movie.
Yes, and those were people who were hardcore Green Lantern fans, didn't like the movie. People who enjoyed the film were people who enjoyed special effects laden adventures.
I'll be honest with you, I actually found the movie satisfying. It wasn't what I expected, but I found it satisfying all the time. I found it satisfying in the sense that I was like, apart from the very beginning, when you first see Parallax, the movie's very safe. I can show it to my kids, and they'll be entertained by it. Despite the initial hiccups and in some of the trailers and so on, the CG suit works really, really well. I thought Ryan Reynolds, as he was, I think he performed the part that was written in the script very, very well. He is not the perfect adaptation of Hal Jordan in the comic book, but I like the
John
whole...
Hamm. John Hamm.
John.
And if anybody doesn't know who John Hamm is, go and Wikipedia him. He stars in the show Mad Men. John Hamm. Just look at pictures of...
You see, to be honest with you, I've never had any real issue with Ryan Reynolds as an actor. I've seen him do serious stuff like Buried and Smoking Aces, and he actually, even though I didn't like the remake as a whole, the Amityville Horror remake, he was brilliant in that. And he can do serious very, very well. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's just a comedy actor, he just all plays the same kind of thing, Sean Connery plays all the same kind of thing in every movie, but nobody ever moans about him. So I don't moan about Ryan Reynolds,
Fair enough.
And to be fair, like I say, he can do serious, he can do comedy, he can do a mixture of the two. In Green Lantern, he does in fact do a mixture of the two. And he plays the part that was written very, very well. And I do believe him as Hal Jordan, I can see the guy he plays growing into the Hal Jordan we know in the comics, when he becomes like the veteran Green Lantern and the greatest of the Corps and that sort of thing, this is like his baby steps and so on. Blake Lively, I also thought, she surprised the hell out of me because I thought she was going to be terrible. And she wasn't terrible, she was in fact good.
Okay.
And there was a nice amount of chemistry between her and Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
Strongest actor in the whole thing definitely is Mark Strong as Sinestro.
Oh yeah.
Are we really surprised by this? No.
In fact, he was the whole reason why I wanted to watch it. To be honest with you.
I think.
And Jeffrey Rush.
Yes. I think the redesigns were quite cool, for characters like Toma Ray and Kilowog, and it works very well if you want to actually make it realistic. But then at the same time, the movie itself still felt like you were actually reading a comic book. They would rush a couple of things, which I thought, yeah. At the very end of the movie, when he confronts Parallax, he does in fact punch Parallax with a gigantic construct fist. That's very much like the comic book Hal Jordan. It's not exactly an adaptation or a translation into a movie. It's not quite there. I would say that as a comic book adaptation, it's pure comic book fluff.
Okay.
However,
yes, let's hear your cons.
The cons are, I thought, despite my love of Martin Campbell, he was not the right director. If you have ever seen Martin Campbell's movies, you'll know full well what I'm on about. He's made Casino Royale, GoldenEye. He's made The Mask of Zorro. On the downside, he's made The Legend of Zorro. And he's
Wait, I
made...
thought The Legend of Zorro... Wasn't The Legend of Zorro the first one?
That's the second one.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And he's made Vertical Limit, which was an effects-laden picture. At the end of the day, Legend of Zorro was there just because everybody was actually sort of, having fun, tossing each other off pretty much, basically going, oh, let's do it again, Vertical Limit was just crap. And it does prove, really, that Martin Campbell is best suited to actually filming things that are real and in front of the lens. You could argue about his Edge of Darkness versions. The first one, in my opinion, the British TV series, was much better than the Mel Gibson movie. Not saying anything really bad about it, but you can see him as being a competent director when he's got something there.
Yeah.
A bit of effects, practical effects, a little bit of CG, sure, but not an entire blue screen background, not a CGI suit, that sort of thing.
Right.
You need somebody who's actually more in the line. I mean, people like Brett Ratner, who has experience with CGI. You need people who actually have done well with big CGI-laden things. And no, I'm not talking about George Lucas or James Cameron, I'm sorry. George Lucas could not direct Traffic, and I'm sorry, I'm one of those 5 people on the planet that did not like Avatar or Smurfs Gone Wild.
Didn't like it.
If you meet the 3 others, then call me.
Yeah. So
But,
yeah, I would agree with you on that.
I'd say that the direction was not good. I would also say that both the script and the movie itself was edited to and I would
First
also
swear
say,
word of the episode. First swear word of the episode.
it did have to come out for Green
It
Lantern.
did have to come out.
It was edited terribly. The script could have done with one more polish, and the movie itself could have done with another 20 minutes to air out.
Yeah.
Because there are some nice scenes like Hal visiting his family and seeing his nephew and that sort of thing. You could have done with some more of that. I don't think that really it's one of those. It's not one of. I think as a movie, it's one of those things where you end up looking at all of the components and you go, yeah, do you know what? This should really, really work. And then it all comes together and it doesn't quite mesh the way you want it to. The best simile that I did, the best analogy I've actually made for this in the past was the fact that, if you don't know, the ingredients for making a pancake is exactly the same for making a Yorkshire pudding. One is sweet, one is savoury. Basically, they were saying they were going to make a pancake, they made a Yorkshire pudding instead. It's a savoury thing. So, yes and no, basically, it's an okay film. It's not what I expected it to be. I enjoyed it just for the just the little 5-year-old glee for it, and
the little Duke inside you was going, yay!
Yeah, but and also because I will get the DVD. When I have it, I know full well that both my son and my daughter, Connor and Cara, they're going to love it. They're going to watch it and they're going to be like, wow, it looks amazing and that sort of thing. I think in future, I think they should definitely make a second one. I think they should keep the cast, absolutely. I think they need to actually work on another writer. I think they need a different director. And I think they need to actually try and find a way to mix the practical with the CG. For example, make an actual suit and then enhance it with CG as opposed to just making it entirely computer-generated.
Right.
I mean, you can actually see how it could have worked when you actually look at the suit that's on Mark Strong as opposed to the suit that's on Ryan Reynolds. Because the one on Mark Strong looks real.
Yeah.
And in fairness, the majority of it could have been a real suit.
Yeah.
And just lighting up the emblem and having a bit of like the kind of the Tron-esque kind of veins of energy going through it and that sort of thing.
So on your scale of stars, what do you give it?
I'll be honest with you, if I were going to be visceral, I would say a 2, but just because of the fact that I did actually have great popcorn factor out of it, and because I know my kids will love it, I'm going to say 3, because I did find a great deal of escapism. And at the end of the day, comic book movies need to be escapism.
Oh, I agree.
I saw a comment that Greg Rucka made last month. He said, gritty realism is all well and good. That's how I like my Batman, but if they're going to make a Superman movie and I can't take my 11-year-old to go and see it, you're doing something wrong. And Green Lantern was very much a case of that. It is escapism, I think there are improvements that could be made for the next one.
Well, I'll start with the pros because I don't want to come out of the gate
completely negative,
just shattering it.
Yeah.
So I'll go with the pros. Mark Strong, strong Sinestro.
Mm-hmm.
He is the Sinestro I was expecting. Not the old 70s super friends. Not that. No. He was
He's the
a
Jeff
strong,
Johns Sinestro, isn't he?
He's the Jeff Johns Sinestro. He's the Sinestro who, if you're following the comic books right now, especially with the whole 52 reboot, he is the Sinestro who deserves to wear the green ring. I'll get to the cons in a moment. Again, Abin Sur was awesome.
Yeah.
The casting was fine for the core. Even Michael Clark Duncan voicing Kilowog. I can't think of anybody else voicing Kilowog. I thought he was great.
I'll be fair, Michael Madsen doing the voice of him in
Emerald Knights.
No, Emerald Knights, the First Flight.
Oh, First Flight, yeah. Oh, he was good. He was very good.
And Dennis Haysbert in the old Justice League cartoon.
That's fine.
But no, I mean, Michael Clark Duncan is... Yeah, he is. He's the safe Kilowog, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the safe one. Now, the other pros were some of the action in the film was well done, like the training session.
The montage was cool.
The montage was good. I thought that was really well done.
The final battle was quite cool as well.
The final battle had some pretty good elements to it, I will admit that. He was green. I'm not going to slate Ryan Reynolds because I do like Ryan Reynolds as a person, as an actor. Sometimes he's hit and miss. I loved him in Wolverine, even though he was a real offshot of what we all know to be, Deadpool. But he was good.
He was entertaining for an adaptation.
He was very entertaining for an adaptation. He was great in Smoking Aces. I thought he was brilliant. Comically, he's great too. But
kind of like Blade Trinity.
Blade Trinity, he was great as an action.
Let's be fair,
Blade Trinity is perfect because he played an action star or an action character who threw humor in it. The problem that I found with Green Lantern is that he was doing the same character. He was
Hannibal King.
Yeah, he was trying to be serious, but he was throwing in these really horrible kind of moments where you're just like, you're trying to be funny.
Is that an actor's error or is that a screen?
That's a screenwriter's error, and unfortunately, he's been subjected to massive ridicule because of that. And I don't blame him for it. I think he's a really fine actor. That's fine. Now, so that's the pros.
Yep.
Here are the cons.
There we go.
Okay.
The next hour of Life in Your Mother's Basement.